Here's how it went in London. Just watch.
So, Mr. President, Canada does not meet the 2% standard. Should it have a plan to meet the 2% standard?
Well, we'll put them on a payment plan, you know? We'll put Canada on a payment plan, right? I'm sure the Prime Minister would love that. What are you at? What is your number?
The number we talk about is 70% increase over these past years, including, and for the coming years, including significant investments in our fighter jets, significant investments in our naval fleets. We are increasing significantly our defense spending from previous governments that cut it.
Okay. Where are you now in terms of your number?
We're at 135?
1.3.
1.4. And continuing to move forward.
They're getting there. They know it's important to do that. And their economy is doing well. They'll get there quickly, I think. Look, it's to their benefit.
And really. The President knows well as well that Canada has been there for every NATO deployment. We have consistently stepped up, sent our troops into harm's way. We're leading in Iraq. We're leading in NATO, in Latvia. We continue to step up. Like most of our allies, there are some countries that, even though they might reach the 2%, don't step up nearly as much. And I think it's important to look at what is actually being done. And the United States and all NATO allies know that Canada is a solid, reliable partner that will continue to defend NATO and defend our interests.
And we do have tremendous coordination with radar, with all of the different things that, you know, technologically, we have tremendous coordination between Canada and the United States. So.
How amazing was that? That bluster from Trudeau, avoiding the question of what our percentage is, just throwing bafflegab in the air. Now, that's normal for Trudeau. And back here in Canada, the media party just accepts it. They don't push back. Trump is used to that, I think. Trump himself has a young son, not as young as Trudeau's son. Trump's youngest son, Barron, is 13. I'm guessing that Trump has to ask difficult questions more than once to get through a teenager's non-answers. It's part of growing up to take responsibility even for tough questions. So I think Trump's used to Trudeau's BS style. He just waited for Trudeau's BS to end, and then he calmly asked the question again. So what's that number again? How much are you spending as a percentage of your GDP? What's the number? That's all he wanted to know. You could hear a voice saying 1.35%. Trudeau rounds up to 1.4%. Yeah, no, that's a lie. Here's a CBC article, of all places, written literally this afternoon. Trudeau's own state broadcaster, so you know they love him. You know this is the most favorable possible interpretation. They're his stenographers. He pays them. But even they just couldn't lie with a straight face on something so easily checkable. Let me quote. In fact, at 1.27% of GDP, Canada's defense spending is nowhere near that level. Oh, the CBC's saying that. So yeah, Trudeau lied. Do you think Donald Trump didn't know exactly the amount that Canada spends as a portion of our GDP before he even asked that question? Do you really think he didn't know, that he wasn't told, that he wasn't briefed? That's all he cares about is that number. You saw that in the earlier NATO meeting. All Trump has ever done in his life, by the way, is negotiate and make deals. Do you doubt he knew in advance Trudeau's position? What Trudeau was at before asking for more? I mean, we know Trudeau doesn't do his readings, doesn't prepare, doesn't look at his briefing notes. He's more about smiling and selfies. But all Trump does is deals. And think about it, Trudeau's lie of 1.4% of GDP instead of the truth, 1.27% of GDP. Well, what do you know? That's actually pretending we spend 10% more than we do. So work with me here, follow me. Just by embarrassing Baron von Fancy Socks, just by making him panic under this questioning under live TV, making him lie in the heat of the moment, Trump got Trudeau to commit to a significant spending increase. You can look at it that way. The difference between the truth, 1.27% of GDP, And the lie, 1.4% GDP, is 0.13% of GDP. It sounds so tiny, right? But Canada's GDP is around $2 trillion. So that little fib there, that's about $2.6 billion a year more that Justin Trudeau just pretended to spend, just committed to. Well, he didn't really commit to it. He claimed he was already doing it. That's a 10% increase in our military budget. Isn't that amazing? I think that's the fastest negotiation and surrender negotiation in history. Trump, in 90 seconds, got Trudeau to blurt out a commitment to a 10% increase in military spending. I don't think Trudeau will keep that promise, by the way, but he made that promise sitting, 3 feet away from Donald Trump? I mean, sure, there were lies even in those numbers and even in his explanations. A significant investment in fighter jets? Don't lie. I mean, I suppose if by that you mean buying 30-year-old used fighter jets from Australia, we're buying their old F-18s that they're getting rid of so they can buy the new F-35s like the rest of the first-rank militaries in the world. So, yeah, new fleets of ships? Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I mean, Trudeau himself tried his best to cancel a ship that Harper had commissioned. Remember that? Vice Admiral Mark Norman stopped that cancellation, and in vengeance, Trudeau falsely accused him of breaching his oath of loyalty and prosecuted him for a crime. Deployments overseas? It's true. It's true. We have some. There's no doubt about that. It's also true that the very first thing Trudeau did when he became Prime Minister in 2015, in fact, even before he was sworn in, he told the United States that he was pulling out our CF-18s from the war against ISIS. Even Barack Obama, who was still U.S. president, then thought Trudeau was a slacker, a free rider. If Obama's calling you a slacker, huh. But as Mercedes Stephenson, a military expert and pundit, tweets out, even Trudeau's juiced numbers are fake. It includes pension spending on bureaucrats. It includes our CMP deployments to Afghanistan. I mean, maybe that's military spending, I guess, if you really stretch it, but it's like a school board coming up with excuses right down to the weird leg crossing. That's an excerpt from the Ezra Levant Show, which is a show I do every day. I do a monologue, interview an interesting guest, and then I read my hate mail. But you've got to subscribe to it, which you can do at premium.rebelnews.com.